so you should have watched the first video in this series, downloaded the EditPad software, and there was, what's the old saying, as soon as you tape something, everything changes on you. There is I had recommended the added bytes, the regular expressions cheat sheet. It used to be free, and it used to be a volunteer submission, like volunteer donation, but now it's $2. You do have to purchase it at this time. I still think it's worthwhile. As I mentioned in the first video, it's not going to teach you regular expressions, but it really is a great little cheat sheet for remembering how to do the format when you're doing regular expressions. So just as a disclaimer, I actually have nothing to do with this guy, so it's just coincidental that shortly after I create the first video, I go to just double check and make sure everything's 100% for the second video, and lo and behold, this is now being sold for a price. Like I said, I still think it's worthwhile to get and use. So it's up to you. It's a great way to do it, and Google is your best friend. Search it out if you have troubles with regular expressions, and don't forget the form is there as well. But let's get started. One of the first things we'll want to learn how to do is to pull information from a website so we can actually dig into it using EditPad and see how we could extract the information we need out of it. Now, I have to tell you, this is definitely like a higher level complexity, but once you get a grasp of this, it's really awesome to do. I use it all the time now. What you want to do is you want to learn how to get the code here. Like as I mentioned in the first video, we're going to be using just the Ubot Studio page here, the resources page, to scrape the 6 top titles here. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to get the actual HTML code off the page. There's a couple ways to do this. Probably the easiest way is to navigate or go to the site. Like one could use a navigate function, and that ensures we're on the correct page, because we're going to use a command called document text. And what the document text command is going to do is it's going to look at whatever is in the main browser window, and we can look at it as the text, the actual HTML text we're seeing for that page. So I'm going to run this. Okay, so the set command, I'm just creating a variable called website contents, and the documents text is sitting underneath of the parameters, and yeah, there it is. Sorry, browser functions, document text. And when you're setting up the set, you just drag and drop this in. Okay, so I'm going to run this. I'm going to pull up the debugger quickly. Right now, nothing is set, as we can see here. Nothing is set whatsoever. Let's run this command. Now, what is going to happen is you're going to see a huge amount of information being set by that command. Now, if you're using this command, and you can see how it splits off the other lists and the variables and this and that between things, you'll want to use this command and get the code out of the page and then shut it off, because it's very distracting if you continuously see this. Now, you want to get this here over into here, because when you open this up, basically you've got nothing in the window. The easiest way now is just to select, like just left click on the variable that is holding the actual text from the page, so that we set here, and we do edit and copy. We go over to EditPad Lite or EditPad Pro, whatever one you're using. We do a Control V, which is the paste. Now what I will do is, it's also copying the name of the actual variable here, so I'm going to actually get rid of that. So this is the page exactly as it's being seen by Ubot. Okay, but when we're doing a regular expression extraction or modifications and all these other things. Now, I have to make sure I've got this one exactly like you would see it. I think normally when you open the page here, you're going to see it like this. So you make sure that you have to make sure that the regex box here is selected. See, it could be deselected. You want it selected, and you also want to open this up a little bit here, just to make it a little bit easier for you. So this is a search. You can actually do replace if you want to. But the cool thing now is we can actually go in here and look at regex expressions. The other thing is under search, I believe we want to highlight all. So if we start typing something in here, let's look for the first. Now this is the first copy of it in the thing here, or then find next. You see it's not being highlighted, but we want that to be highlighted. So I'm going to say search, highlight all. And what the highlight does is as we're making our code, we will see dynamically if we've made a mistake. So let's say I've done that and I put a space. Because there's no space at the end of these statements, what's happening is it's no longer matching. There's literally a line return here. And we have to build the correct statement to match this up. Okay, so simple. What I can say is what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing the H3. I'm seeing a whole bunch of information here. And the video training or less. And let's take a look at the next one here under the H3. So I'm seeing like this here. I'm looking at this here. I'm trying to find common. I'm trying to find a pattern. Okay, I'm seeing that again. That's 2. That's 3. Oh, looks like there's a line feed going in here, so I have to watch out for that. That's 4. Okay, another line feed. So there's one there. There's a submitted question. But these aren't the ones that we want. So we'll have to just take a look and see how we can pull these particular ones out of the mix. Okay, so that's what we're starting with here. Oh, here's the ones below. Oh, okay, see that? That's 6. We do want these ones here. See how we got the PNG? We got the PNG here. But when we get down to here, we don't have that anymore. The H3 tag has actually just got the name which is inside the H3 tag. So we're over here, they've got a little bit of extra code which we can use as part of our search criteria. Okay, so let's take a look here. We have to deal, let's go right to the first one here. I'm going to go to the first match. I always recommend not trying to get overly complicated and say, I'm going to try to match everything at once. What I'll try to do is I'll match one thing at a time, and then I'll build the code within the regular expression and match it all. And at the very end, I'll modify the regular expression code, and I'll show you how to do that shortly here, to actually pull out what we don't want in the front and at the end. Because what we're going to do is we're going to overmatch. We're going to overmatch by having the information before, the information after, and the information we actually want to match in the middle. Okay, so within regular expressions, we are going to start using some of the different things here. Now I'm going to open up the cheat sheet here that I'd mentioned here and show you how to start using this. So like I said, I totally recommend you picking that up. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we got the H3 tag. Looks like the first thing we've got to overcome is a line feed. Now, if we put a line feed in like this, and then we have to also deal with some characters after that. So you see we just can't put a line feed in like just by hitting enter. So what we have to do is go back to the top one here again. We have to tell in regular expressions that there's a line feed in place. So how do we do a line feed? Or a new line, or whatever you want to call it here. Let's take a look at our cheat sheet. Oh, look at this. Special characters, a backslash n for a new line. Okay, so let's stick that in there. Backslash n. Okay, and we have some more information just in front here. So that could be spaces, it could be tabs, it could be a whole bunch of stuff. And we have a whole bunch of stuff coming up to right here. We want to capture these characters here. So what we could do is we could cheat and we could say to the system, capture everything. So any character except a new line. And that's why we have to also put the new lines in here, a dot. And it's just a dot here is like everything excluding new lines. And a star or an asterisk says is a quantifier. And what it says is give me more than 0 more than that. So I can use 0 or I can use plus. So let's just do that. Let's give that a shot here. So new line, dot, star. Okay, now you see that the regular expression captured everything right up to the next line. Yes, regular expressions, unless you tell it to also capture new lines, it is line specific. This is a kind of a fallback from the Unix days. As I mentioned in the first video, this was developed in the Unix days as a programming tool. Now we actually have to stipulate when there is a new line involved. Okay? Okay, so right now it's actually capturing more than what we want. Well, I want it to stop capturing, let's say right here at for this point in time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some code right after it. I'm going to say .png quote right angle bar or right bracket. Okay, so now I'm just capturing up to here. But now I want to capture the rest of it. Now we see here there's actually text, there's a new line, and there's more text. So I'll have to see what we can do there. So I'm going to start by just telling it to capture text again. Tell it to capture everything. And I'm going to say there's a new line, and there may be, and I want you to capture the rest of the text on the next line. Okay. Now also I want to capture, because I want to know when to end things. I know that I'll be ending things on the next H3, or the closing bracket. So there's another new line, there's some more stuff, and I want to capture the H3 colon. So I'm capturing, this is allowing me to capture everything. Now I will call this a little dirty because I'm using a lot of wildcards to capture things. Now one thing I can do within this program, which is really cool, is to see if I'm capturing too much with this particular setup. Okay, see if I hover over here, it says count matches. If I click on that, it says it's only found 4 times. So I'm actually not finding it enough. So let's zip down the list down here and see if there's a place where we're not capturing it. And I'm just looking for the H3 tag, kind of visually looking. Oh, look at that there. So there's an H3 there. I'm missing this one here. So, look at that. So there's, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to cut it, and I'm just going to paste it in just to a text box window, or notepad window. That was the rest of that function, paste. Okay, let's see what's missing here. So I have a new line. I have some stuff. Actually, it looks like I can keep a lot more than what I had there. Just going to go here. I'm going to grab all that there. Plunk that in place. Okay, so we're grabbing that one now. Let's see where this breaks. I'm actually going to grab the whole. Actually, I think we're just was missing the H3 here. So I'm going to stick this in here so we have the full original regular expression we created. Now, okay, that works so far. Actually, I'm going to show you the easy way to do this. I'm going to plunk it all back in. You see we've lost the match. I'm going to start backing up here. Ah, look at that. It started working again. Slash H. Okay, for some reason it doesn't like it the minute I put that H in. So something's just off. Something's just not right here. Okay, let's see here. We have one new line, 2 new lines. We're stipulating 1 new line, 2 new lines, 3 new lines. Now, something interesting is happening here. You see how it's actually capturing beyond even further? It's grabbing this 3rd new line, which see 1 new line here, 2nd new line here, 3rd new line here. So sometimes we don't need that 3rd new line. So this bit right here might be redundant. Okay? And I'm going to say H3. So what we have to do is we have to put something in here that says either match this once or no times. Okay? So right now we have the star, and we have we have the new line, dot which means everything but a new line, and star which means, if we look at our cheat sheet here, 0 or more matches after that new line. So this new line here, what we could do is we can do a star here. Let's see if that helps us. Bam, there we go. So what we've done here is we've said either match 0 or 1 matches of a new line. Now there's a couple ways we can do this to clean up the code a little bit. You see here for the quantifiers, we can put, let's say, in little brackets, curly brackets after the 3, or 1 and a 3 and a 5. Let's try that. So it could be a 0 or a 1 here. So I'm going to get rid of that there, and I'm going to put curly brackets, comma 1, curly bracket. And it's working as well. Let's see how many matches we have. Let's go to this here. We found it 6 times, so we got it dead on. Now we could tighten up our code even a little bit more at this point in time. But everything's working the way we want it to. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. What I want to do is I want to go to the top one. I want to see what's matching it every time. I want to make sure it's not overmatching at this point in time. So here we have the first one. We can hit this arrow here to go to the next one. This arrow here to go to the next one. This one here to go to the next one. Next. Next. And you see when it becomes a red X. Can't go any further. We've got all 6. So we've got the ones that we want. Okay, we got the 6 that we exactly want. Okay, so what we could do is we could grab this code here, copy, and we can plunk that into, I'm going to open up a new box here, and when we're scraping from the page and we're scraping multiple items, we would want to use a list. I'm guessing this is something you already know. So I'm going to clear a list, and I'm going to clear one of the lists we already have in the program, which is main titles. Okay. Add list to list. Main titles. Now here's where we deviate a little bit. We want to go underneath of the variable functions. Oh, I take that back. Not the variable functions. It is the text functions. And we want to find regular expression. We want to drop that into here. Okay. Now the text that we're going to be looking for, and we're going to also put our regular expression in here. So the text we're going to be looking at is going to be under the browser functions and document text. Because this page is already up, yes, we could go back here and we could put the navigate in and just plunk it in here to ensure we have it. But the page is up. Let's just simplify things. We're at a place where we want to actually do troubleshooting and discovery anyhow. So let's grab our regular expression as it lives. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it in here, and we'll see if we actually got a good regular expression going here. Okay, and I'm going to tell it to not delete duplicates at this point in time, because if I'm doing counts, this is something you got to watch for. Sometimes you'll have the same thing come up twice on the page. When you're all said and done, you probably don't want to have the duplicate, but when you're actually troubleshooting and trying to figure out what's going on, and especially when you're building regular expressions, you don't want Ubot to be taking things out on you after the fact, or else it could confuse your efforts. You don't know whether or not you actually got things right, is what I'm saying. So right now I'm not going to delete. Okay, I'm going to run this, and let's see what we got here. Oh, I'm going to clear the variables. Remember I mentioned that? Get rid of that. I'm going to run this. Let's take a look at the debugger again. Okay, so we got 6, which is exactly what we want, but if we got too much, you know, right off the kick, we can get rid of a lot of this stuff by tightening up our regular expression a little bit. Now, I will warn you, this is one place where this program has a bit of troubles. We're going to be using something, and I'm going to show you it in the cheat sheet here, something called assertions. We're going to be using one called look behind assertion and look ahead assertion. Okay? Now the idea of this is okay, I want to match a certain string of characters. Now what's before it? That would be the look behind. Look behind and see if there's a match to what I'm trying to get, and look forward or look ahead of the match that I want and see what's there. Now let's just take a look at our regular expression. I'm going to zip over here, I'm going to tell it to find the first one here. So right now, we have all this stuff here that we really don't want. Okay? So what we could do is, let's using our cheat sheet here, we want to look behind. So there's question mark, left bracket, equals, or less than sign equals. Okay, so what we would do, we would put this into round brackets, question mark, left bracket, equals. And it would be up to, now you see why I had us put in that extra information. You see that right there? I had us put that extra information so we could match on that. Now what's happening is, and I'll warn you, sometimes EditPad will freeze when you start doing look ahead and look behind assertions, because it just seems to be a bit of a programming bug, but it's really more of an annoyance than anything else. Do yourself a favor, open up Notepad, put your regular expression in here. That way, if it locks up on you, you can kill the program, start it back up, and continue hunting and pecking. Okay, so using our regular expression, we've gotten rid of the stuff in front. Well, let's get rid of the stuff in behind. Now, it seems to be that the stuff in behind is that last carriage return, and actually, all the rest of the stuff here. All this stuff in here by the looks of it. So let's just throw in, because we got this, the dot, which means match everything but line returns, and the asterisk, which means 0 or 1 matches. And just so you can see, if I put a plus sign here, it still works, because a plus sign is 1 or more. Okay, just so you know. And let's see if we have a full 6 matches. So we can play with this. We can tighten it up a lot. Okay, it was found 3 times. So doing that, it's caused us some problems. So let's see where it's caused us problems. Right here. So when we say, you see here, there is no actual extra stuff and a carriage, and then possibly a carriage return. So it needs to see something. There is no extra something in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, it's got to be the star. We'll make sure, okay, it's come back up. We got that match. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, and this one here actually ends right there. We want to capture everything. Sorry, I'm just looking here. After the H3. So really there might be some carriage returns, some extra spaces that are after the H3. So let's capture it right from here. Again, we're going to be using an assertion. We're going to be using the look ahead. It's exactly the same as the look behind, except I don't have the greater than sign in the actual equation. So I'm going to tie all this together. I'm going to shoot for here. Equals. And I'm going to go to the end. Bracket. How many matches do I have? 6 matches, so that's great. I've actually been able to isolate everything from the text. Now I have a little bit of extra stuff in places. I might have a carriage return, but that's okay. Let's grab our regular expression here. Go back to our program. I'm going to edit the regular expression. I'm going to put in our modified version, which tightens things up. I'm going to say OK. And I'm just going to run things here. Pull up the debugger. Great. So things have gotten a lot better already. You know, we do have the extra pieces. We have the new lines and all that stuff. So I'm going to show you how to actually deal with that right now. So, but we got what we wanted off the page. We got 6 selections using regular expressions, and that's how we'd use a regular expression. Now, at this point in time, we can use the other command underneath of the parameters and variable functions I always want to go to variable functions. My apologies. Text functions is the replace regular expression. At this point in time, we do have text in our list which we don't want to have. But there's a better way to fix this. Now, this is a bit of a technique, like a bit of an advanced list technique, list modifying technique. Okay, I'm going to stick a loop in here. At this point in stage, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get rid of things in the list. Now, we know that we cannot, in a list, go in and do direct substitutions to a list item. It's just not the way lists work. It's not a function of lists. Where it is a function of variables. Also, there's two ways to do this next thing. There is a real fail-safe way to do it, and then there's a bit of a dirty quick way to do it. Now, the way you decide to do it is up to you. I'm going to show you both at this point in time. The first way is to actually loop through the different list entries and have it put it into a variable, fix it up, and then add it to the bottom of the list. But before we add anything new to the bottom of the list, what we do is we count the number of list variables. Okay, the list entries. So if there's, in this particular example, there's actually 6 from 0 to 5. So our list total would come up with 6. What we would do is we would go in and we would do the modifications. We'd put it into a variable. We do the modifications and we dump it on the variable, the fixed variable, on the end of the list. And we'd run through all the list items until we get to the end of the list. The next thing we would do is we would remove the first, in this case, 6 entries from the list because we've created a variable that's a list counter and we can dump it out. And this allows us to use one variable and one list to clean the list. The secondary way to do it is to actually create a secondary list and clean up the variable or clean up the list item as we either through a variable or as we add it to a new list. And what would happen at that point in time is at the end of the procedure we could dump it back to the old, clear the old list and dump it back in, or we could just use the new list. And this is what I would do in the beginning when I was first learning how to do this. And actually I've done it pretty much for a long time this second way, and only recently have I adopted this way because it's just a little bit faster in terms of code. Is it any faster to use a second list? Absolutely not. Your program is going to execute just as well. The gotcha is the first method, it's really easy to screw it up. The good thing about the second method is it's a lot simpler. You can directly see what's going on, but it does require you to have a second list. And it's up to you how you do it. And there's lots of ways to hide that. You can use a list that is within a define, which is a private character or private list, so you don't see it in here or anything like that. It's really up to you. There's more than one way to get the job done, so to speak. I'm going to hold off until the next video. I just realized we're almost to 30 minutes here on this video. So at this point in time, I'm going to hold off, and in video number 3, we're going to go in and do the list manipulation. So join me in the next video.